Okay, real talk. For 10 years, you were the one waiting to get paid. The one who checked the app 4 times before noon. And tonight, for the first time in your life, you're on the other side of the button. There's a screen open and it says one name and one number, Sam, $1,200, and a button that says send. You've wanted this for a decade. You didn't know it would feel like this. Because here's the thing nobody tells you about the 15th of the month. You spent 10 years thinking it was a gift. A day money just appears for people luckier than you. Tonight you find out it's not a gift. It's a job. And you just took it. So here's what we're doing tonight. 20 months. 20 of these. Every 15th, rung by rung, from the first one where your hand shakes on the button to the one that taught you what you actually bought. And somewhere in the middle of it, you're going to find out what a $1,200 a month person actually costs. And it is not $1,200 a month. And it is not even close, and the gap is the whole story. There. Sent. Sam's rent is now handled. Sam doesn't know you're sitting here at 10 at night looking at it. Sam's asleep. Sam's 15th is $1,200. Every time. Sam never looks. Your 15th is whatever's left. This month, after Sam, $4,900. Which is fine. Which is good, actually. Which is why you did this. Hold on to that number. We're going to watch it move. And before the night's over, I'm going to ask you the only question this was ever really about. Not was hiring worth it. You'll get a number for that, a real one, and it's bigger than you think. The other one, the one with no number, whose 15th do you own now? And who owns yours? Don't answer yet. You haven't earned the question. Run the payroll first. All 20 of them. Rewind. 4 months before that first payroll. You get the email every freelancer half prays for and half dreads. A retainer, $3,600 a month, ongoing, no end date, the kind of client that turns a hustle into an income. And you read it twice and then you feel the floor drop because you already know the truth. You cannot do it. Not you don't want to. You physically can't. You are already full. You are already working every good hour you have. There's no more of you to sell. So you're standing at a fork, and it's a real one. And I'm not going to tell you which way is right, because the whole point of this story is that nobody can. Left, you say no. You stay a company of one. You keep your ceiling. You keep your freedom. You keep a life where the only person the money has to be there for is you, right? You say yes, which means you hire. Which means you take $1,200 of that $3,600 and hand it to a stranger. Every month, forever. So that a second pair of hands can do the work you don't have hours for. And real talk, the forever is the part that keeps you up. A client can leave. A project can end. Those you can survive. You've survived 100 of them. But a person is different. A person has a rent and a life and a reason to trust you, and the day you type the offer, forever, stops being a word and becomes a date. The 15th. Every one of them, stretching out. Past where you can see. You almost say no. You sit with the email for 4 days. And then you do the math one more time, and the math is so loud it drowns out the fear. And here's the part that makes this a foil files, because you are not the only person standing at this exact fork. Priya gets the same kind of email that same season. Same lane as you, same skills. Honestly, sharper than yours in a couple of things. Same ceiling, same full calendar, same impossible retainer waving money at her. And Priya says no. She texts you about it. Turning it down. One person, on purpose. I sleep fine. And you feel something reading it. A little flick of superiority. The exact same flick you felt 10 years ago watching a friend hang a work badge on a hook. You think, she's scared. She's capping herself. She's leaving money on the table. You think you're the brave one. Hold that thought for about 11 months, because on paper, your side of the fork is obvious. Look at the math. You pay Sam $1,200. Sam does the work that unlocks a $3,600 retainer. $1,200 out, $3,600 in. You just bought $3 for one. That's not hiring, that's leverage. That's the first time in 10 years the ceiling moved. You are, for one glorious afternoon, a person who found a cheat code. So you write the offer, $1,200 a month, you send it. Sam says yes, and you feel like you just added a wing to your life. You did, Nobody tells you a wing is also a thing you now have to keep in the air. Sam's 15th is $1,200. Every time. Sam never looks. Your 15th is whatever's left. Right now, that's a lot. Right now, this is the smartest thing you've ever done. And for a while, this is real. This is true. Don't let the back half of this story steal it from you. It works. Sam is good. That's the first surprise. You brace to spend your whole life fixing Sam's work, and instead, by the second month, there's a whole category of Tuesday that just isn't yours anymore. The grunt file. The formatting. The thing you hated. It happens now while you're doing something worth 4 times as much. And there's one specific morning, you'll remember it, where a deliverable is due at noon and you realize, at 9, that it's already done. Not by you. It's done. You sit there with your coffee going cold and you don't quite know what to do with your own hands because, for 10 years, done early was a thing that only happened when you skipped sleep, and now it happened while you slept. You feel, for about a minute, like you cracked the physics of the whole thing. That minute is the most expensive minute in this story. It's the minute you stopped seeing the $1,200 as a risk and started seeing it as a machine, something that just runs quietly, making you money in the background. Machines don't have rent. Machines don't have a 15th. You forgot for a minute that Sam is not a machine. The retainer lands. Month 4. $3,600 a month into an account that used to top out no matter how hard you pushed. And now it pushes past the old ceiling because Sam is holding the floor while you reach. You do a month where you invoice $14,100. Solo, your whole career. Your best ever month was 11.2. You just beat your lifetime record. And you did it with more time off, not less, because there were 2 of you. This is the part you'll want to remember later when it gets heavy. It was never a scam. The leverage was real. Priya, back in her one-person life, is having a fine year. A good, capped, unterrifying year. And you are, on paper, running past her. Growth isn't something you achieve, by the way. That's the sentence this whole story is quietly teaching you. Growth is something you start owing. But you don't feel the owing part yet. Right now, it just feels like flying. And here's a small thing that happens in month 4 that you don't clock as important. Sam signs a lease. A 12-month lease. A real one. Sam can do that now. Walk into a leasing office, show 3 pay stubs from you, and a computer says verified, and Sam gets keys. Because Sam's income has a shape. Sam's income arrives on the 15th. You have never once signed a 12-month anything. In 10 years. You couldn't get the loan in the last story and you can't get a clean lease in this one because your income still arrives on a mood. And you just gave a stranger the one thing you've never been able to buy for yourself. You financed Sam's certainty with your own uncertainty. You just haven't done that arithmetic yet. Sam's 15th is $1,200. Every time. Sam never looks. Your 15th is whatever's left. This month, $3,100. Down a little. You had 2 invoices go long. It's fine. It's a rounding error. It is not a rounding error. It's the first tremor. Okay, this part's worth slowing down for. Because 10 years ago, in the last story, you sat with a salaried friend's pay stub and you did the arithmetic on what he really cost his employer. All the invisible money stacked on top of a $72,000 job. And it detonated. 16 grand a year he never saw. Well, now you're the employer. So one night you do the thing you swore you understood and you actually itemize what Sam costs you. And you find the exact same column, pointed the other way, at you. $1,200 a month is what the offer letter says. $14,400 a year. That's the number in your head. That's the number you budgeted. Here's what Sam actually costs. Wage, $1,200 a month. $14,400 a year. Fine. You knew that one. Payroll tax. The employer half, the one your friend's boss quietly paid for him, while you paid both halves of your own, remember? Well, now you're the boss. So you pay a stranger's employer half too. 7.65% on top every month. $1,836 a year. Money Sam never sees and never thanks you for. Because it's supposed to be invisible. You just never knew you'd be the one it's invisible from. The seat, the software license Sam needs, the tools, the second everything. $80 a month, $1,600 a year. It doesn't feel like paying someone. It feels like paying for someone. It's the same money. Add it. Over the 20 months we're walking through, $27,436. That's what your $1,200 a month person actually costs. $24,000 of it is the wage, the part you budgeted for. $3,436 of it is the part you didn't. The invisible column, the one that, for 10 years, some other employer was quietly paying on behalf of the friend you envied. You used to be the two-word notification. Payment received. No columns, nothing to read. Now you're the whole page. You are the column now. And notice what didn't change. The work still has to show up. The clients still pay on a mood. Nothing about your income got 1 degree more certain. You just added a bill that's certain in the one direction that can hurt you. The person who owns the 15th is the only one in the building who never gets one. That's not an argument against hiring. Wait for the number at the end before you decide what it's an argument for. Here's the thing that creeps up on you. It's small. It's the smallest change, and it's the whole change. You start checking your bank account differently. For 10 years, you checked it for you. Can I make rent? Can I buy the thing? Am I okay? Selfish math. Fast math. It was your account and your problem and your number. Now, around the 10th of every month, you start checking it for Sam. Is there $1,200 in there on the 15th? Not, will I be okay? Will Sam be okay? Because Sam has a lease now, the one you co-signed with your own pay stubs, basically. And Sam's landlord doesn't care that your biggest client pays net $45. Sam's rent is due on the 1st and Sam's pay is due on the 15th, and both of those are now your calendar, tattooed over the top of your old one. There's a word for what you're carrying now, and it's not a nice one. It's called float. You pay Sam on the 15th, your clients pay you on the 30th, the 45th, the whenever, which means every single month, for a couple of weeks, you are paying Sam's wage out of your own runway, forwarding a stranger their certainty and waiting for the money that's supposed to cover it to catch up. You're not being paid to hold that gap. You're paying to hold it. It's just the cost of being the person the 15th answers to. And it changes your sleep in a way you can't quite explain to anyone who hasn't done it. Because a solo freelancer's money fear is loud and simple. Will I make rent? And it goes quiet the second the invoice clears. This new fear is different. It's low, it's constant. It doesn't spike and it doesn't clear because there's always a next 15th, always another person's month riding on the back of your unpredictable one. You catch yourself on a good night with money in the bank, still doing the count. Rent taxes, Sam. Rent taxes, Sam. It's become a thing your brain says on its own now, like a pulse. That's the tax nobody quotes you, not the 7.65%. This one. The one where a part of your attention is permanently rented out to somebody else's security. Sam sleeps better than you now. That's not a complaint, unless it's the product. You bought Sam that sleep. It came out of yours. You gave someone a floor. And the floor came out of your ceiling. Sam's 15th is $1,200 every time. Sam never looks. Your 15th is whatever's left. This month, $2,300. And you notice, this is new. You'd have called that a great month 2 years ago. Now you look at it, and the first thing your brain does is check that Sam's $1,200 already cleared. It did. It always does. You make sure of that before you make sure of you. Month 14. The work doesn't show up, not the retainer, that holds. But the other big one, the project that made the good months good, goes quiet. A reorg, somewhere above the person you talk to. Same silence you've eaten 100 times in 10 years. You know this silence. Net 45 becomes net 60, becomes net please. For 10 years, that silence only cost you. You'd tighten up, eat rice, write it out. Your problem, your belt, your month. But it's the 11th now. And the 15th is coming. And the 15th doesn't read the room. Revenue that month, $3,900. The lowest since you hired. And out of that has to come your rent, your own taxes, your own everything, and $1,200 for Sam, plus the invisible 90-odd on top, because you're the employer, and the employer's half doesn't take a month off just because the client did. And this is the moment. This is the whole story, right here, on the 14th of a bad month. You made Sam a promise. Sam did nothing wrong. Sam worked. Sam showed up. The client's silence isn't Sam's fault. So Sam gets paid. Full stop. That was the deal you signed when you clicked send the first time. So you pay Sam's $1,200. On time. Out of the account that pays your own rent. And Sam never knows. That's the part that lands at 3 in the morning. Sam cannot know. Must not know, because a floor you can feel wobble isn't a floor. The entire thing you sold Sam was not having to know. So you eat the wobble, alone, silently, and you send it. And the screen says sent. Same as always, same cheerful little check mark the 14th time. Remember when this was leverage? 1,200 out, 3,600 in, 3 for 1. The cheat code? A cheat code you can't turn off isn't a cheat code. It's a fixed cost. The exact same $1,200 was an asset in month 4 and a liability in month 14. And you didn't change it. The month did. That's what a hire is. It's leverage that becomes a bill the second the work stops. And the work always, eventually, stops. And here's the cruelty of where you're standing. You spent 10 years envying the person who owns the 15th. The salaried friend, the boss, the person money just shows up for. You finally became one. You own a 15th now. And you found out it's the only role in the whole building that never gets one. Sam has a 15th. Your old salaried friend has a 15th. Everybody who works for somebody has a 15th. The one person who does not, the one person whose income still lands on a mood, who still eats every silence, who now eats 2 people's silences, is the person who signs the checks. You didn't escape the mood. You hired someone into your stability, and there wasn't enough to go around, so you gave them yours. Sam's 15th is $1,200. Every time. Sam never looks. Your 15th is whatever's left. This month, there's no number. This month you send $1,200 you don't have. And there's nothing after the word left. The sentence just stops. That's what the bad payroll does to the refrain. It runs your line right off the edge of the page, and it doesn't touch Sam's at all. So all this time, the good months, the bad payroll, the 3 in the morning float. What's Priya doing? Priya's fine. That's the annoying part. Priya turned down her version of your retainer 14 months ago, and she's had exactly the year she predicted. Capped, steady-ish. A couple of thin patches, she wrote out the old way. Alone, belt tightened, nobody else's rent riding on her. She texts you during her slow patch. Had a slow month, ate it, owed nobody. And then, hey, weird flex, but it's mine. And 14 months ago, you'd have read that as a coping mechanism. The fox and the grapes. She couldn't scale, so she decided scaling was bad. You don't read it that way anymore. You read it from inside a bad payroll, with a stranger's rent cleared and your own account empty, and it hits completely differently. Remember the flick of superiority you felt when she said no? She's scared, she's capping herself, she's leaving money on the table. Here's what she was actually doing. She was refusing to own anyone's 15th. She looked at the exact same 3-for-1 cheat code you saw, and she saw the other thing in it. The part where a cheat code you can't turn off is just a bill wearing an opportunity's clothes. And she said, no thanks. I'll keep the smaller number and the empty calendar and the right to have a bad month that only costs me. She didn't leave money on the table. She left weight on the table. You picked it up. And this is where the thing you've been telling yourself since month 4 quietly falls apart. You said hiring made you the bigger operator. More grown-up. A real business, not just a person with a laptop. But the day the work didn't show up, the real business was the thing that could hurt you, and the just a person with a laptop was the thing that couldn't. Priya's slow month was a shrug. Yours was a debt to a stranger who mustn't know he's owed. Nobody's punishing you. You just bought something, and it turns out the thing you bought was obligation. An obligation only ever looks like an asset until the day it's tested. She isn't freer than you because she's smarter. She isn't. She's freer because she owns no one's 15th. That's the whole difference. That's it. And here's the part you'd never say to her face, because it sounds insane. Some nights you envy the smallness of her problem. She has a bad month, and the worst thing that happens is she eats rice. That's it. That's the floor. There's no stranger's rent underneath her floor. No cheerful check mark that has to fire whether she can afford it or not. No version of her Tuesday where being human for a week costs somebody else their certainty. Her fear stops at the edge of her own skin. Yours doesn't anymore. Yours has someone else's name on it now, and it goes out on the 15th, and there's no clause that lets it feel the month you're having. You wanted to be bigger than her. You got your wish. Bigger, it turns out, mostly means more surface for the fear to land on. So, 20 months. Let's actually do the math, because this channel doesn't get to skip the number just because the number's complicated. The retainer. The one you could only take because Sam held the floor. $3,600 a month from month 4 to month 20. 17 months. $61,200. Money that does not exist in the version of your life where you said no. It's Sam's money as much as yours. You couldn't have earned $1 of it alone. Against it, everything Sam cost. Wage, the employer half, the seat, all 20 payrolls including the 14th one you paid out of your own rent. $27,436. Subtract. $33,764. That's what hiring Sam made you, over and above every cent it cost, across 20 months. Say it plainly, because it's true, and because everybody else in this business would fog it up by now. On the number, you won. Hiring worked. The leverage was real to the end. You are, in cold dollars, 33 grand ahead of the version of you that stayed solo. Ahead of Priya's road, by roughly that. And notice how that's the opposite of last time. Last time, the person who owned the 15th won the money, and you got the unnumberable thing. The freedom, the Tuesdays. This time, you own the 15th and you won the money. $33,764 that Priya, on her one-person road, simply does not have. She made zero of it. On the ledger you can add up, you beat her. And let me put close on that number the way we do because $33,700 is easy to say and hard to feel. That's the best used car you'll ever own, paid cash. That's 9 months where you don't check the app before groceries. That's the emergency fund you've been meaning to build for years, sitting there fully formed in one line. It is not fake money and it is not small money. It is the single biggest thing growth ever actually put in your account. So point to the mistake. Where is it? You did the arbitrage right. Sam was good. The retainer was real. You netted 33 grand you'd never have touched. By every number you can write down, you made the correct call. And here's the sentence I want to be quiet. The 33,000 is real, and it's yours. And it also didn't buy back a single one of the nights you checked the account for Sam instead of for you. It didn't refund the 14th payroll. It didn't hand you a 15th of your own. You won the number. Priya won the thing with no number. And unlike last time, you can't even tell yourself the unnumbered thing is the better prize. Because you chose the number on purpose with your eyes open and you'd probably choose it again. That's what makes this one sit differently. Nobody lost. That's the sting. So you've watched the whole thing now. The leverage, the float, the bad payroll, the number that says you won, and the nights it couldn't buy back. And if you've ever paid someone else's certainty out of your own uncertainty and watched a cheerful little check mark hide the whole cost of it, then somebody should be keeping that ledger. The one that counts what the 15th cost the person who owns it. This is the channel that keeps the other ledger. Subscribe, and I'll keep counting the money that has no line, because the night isn't over. There's one more ledger, yours, and nobody prints that one. Stay for it. So let's itemize the other cost, the one that isn't on the summary screen. Because we just did Sam's column, let's do yours. You've got one too, and nobody prints it. 20 15ths. 20 times you were the date money answered to. Not one of them landed for you. Every single one landed because of you, out of you, through you, onto someone else. You were the pipe, never the tap. 14 odd nights, call it one before every payroll, where you ran a stranger's arithmetic before your own. Where is Sam okay came before am I okay, automatically, without you deciding it. You didn't sign up to be someone's floor. You just clicked send one time, and it turned out send was a subscription. And the 14th one. The month the work didn't show up and the money went out anyway. Warm and on time and cheerful. Out of the account that holds your own life. One payroll that came out of your rent so that a floor could stay a floor. And the thing you can't put a card on at all, the silence. Because you couldn't tell Sam any of this. Not the bad month, not the float, not the 3 a.m. count. The whole product you were selling was not knowing. So you carried the knowing alone, and you smiled at the check-ins, and you said all good the way people say all good. And only one of you knew that was even a sentence with a cost. You know that feeling. You spent 10 years on the other end of somebody else's all good. Add it. It doesn't add. There's no total line, and not because it's zero. Sam's cost had units, dollars, all the way down, 27,436 of them. Your cost has no units. What's the exchange rate between a net 33 grand year and the fact that no 15th in it was ever yours? There isn't one. There has never been one. The person who owns the 15th is the only one in the building who never gets one. You knew that sentence as a victim for 10 years. You just learned it as the owner. Same sentence. Completely different weight. And nobody warned you that the day you finally got to write the checks would be the day you understood, for the first time, exactly what it costs the person who writes them. So, the question I planted before you'd earned it. You've run the 20 payrolls now. Here it is again, and this time you answer. Not, was it worth it? You've got the number for that. $33,764 says yes. The other one. Whose 15th do you own now? And who owns yours? Because most people go their whole lives never noticing they're the answer to somebody's 15th, and never noticing that nobody's the answer to theirs. You noticed. You paid to notice. That's the tuition on this one. And I'm not going to tell you Priya was right and you were wrong, or the reverse, because the number won't let me and neither will the Knights. She kept a 15th free life and made 33 grand less. You made the 33 grand and own a date now, 2 roads, 2 prices, 2 entirely different kinds of paper, and no one ever printed the exchange rate. So here's the one word I want from you. You've watched someone hand a stranger a stability they never had for themselves. Would you sign the payroll? Yes or no? Say it below, and say it before you read what anybody else said. And if the honest answer is, I don't know, that means you finally understand the 15th. Say that. Next time in the FOIL files, 2 freelancers, 1 enormous client. The whale. The one account that pays for everything. You kept the client happy. She kept the client honest. And you find out which of those 2 things a business can actually survive losing. The hard way, on a Tuesday with 1 email. This is quiet money.